Hello, my name is Jake Eubank. I am currently the undergraduate program director and assistant professor of the Recreation Education and Therapy program at Lehman College at the City University of New York, otherwise known as CUNY. Today I'd like to share with you results from a study I conducted this past spring. The title of that study was The Influence of Barriers and Motivations to Recreation and Physical Activity in Traditional and Non-Traditional College Students on a Commuter Campus. Before I begin, I just wanted to share some of the recommendations and guidelines put forth by various organizations, such as the American Heart Association and the United States Department of Health and Human Services. They recommend that an individual participates in moderately intense physical activity at least 150 minutes per week. Moderately intense physical activity could be considered a brisk walk, or if someone went dancing. They also recommend that an individual participate in vigorously intense physical activity for at least 75 minutes per week, which could include running or even swimming. Following either of these recommendations results in the reduction in the risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, and many other illnesses. So physical activity among college students, the American College Health Association puts out an assessment every year titled the National College Health Assessment 3, where this assessment looks at health characteristics among college students in at least 5,000 higher education institutions throughout the United States. They found that 57% of college students in the United States do not meet the guidelines for moderately intense physical activity, and 63% of college students in the United States do not meet the guidelines for vigorously intense physical activity. These health disparities are even higher among college students at Hispanic-serving institutions, particularly among non-traditional college students. You might ask, what is a non-traditional college student? Well, a non-traditional college student, the definition tends to get a little fuzzy. And when you look at the literature on investigating characteristics of non-traditional college students, it's been up for discussion for some time. But the three characteristics that I used for this study are students that are over the age of 25 years old, responsible for dependents, such as a children or other family member at home, or works over 40 hours per week. So it does get a little bit murky because, how do you define what a non-traditional college student is? Do they have to meet all three of these characteristics? And I argue that they don't. I argue that as long as they meet one of these characteristics, they are considered a non-traditional college student. That could mean that you could have a traditional age college student, which is anywhere between the age range of 18 to 24 years old, that may have a family at home, that may have children that they care for, or they may also work over 40 hours per week. And any one of those could, although they are traditional age, if they have children, then they would be considered a non-traditional college student. Some scholars may go further to argue that students attending a Hispanic-serving institution do not particularly fit the profile of a traditional college student at a post-secondary institution and could also be defined as non-traditional. So the purpose and research questions of this study was to investigate the different motivations and barriers to physical activity between traditional students and non-traditional students attending a Hispanic-serving institution. And I split the characteristics up because I wanted to know specifically about the differences in motivations, barriers and motivations to physical activity for those students that are under the age of 25 and over the age of 25. And I did the same thing looking at those students who work 39 hours or less per week and those who work 40 hours or more per week. And my third question was looking at the differences in motivations and barriers for students that have children and those that do not have children. The instrumentation I used was the first one to focus on motivations was the Exercise Motivations Inventory 2, otherwise known as EMI2, which was developed by Markland and Ingledew in 1997. This inventory has been validated in numerous studies, but specifically looking at motivations to physical activity. Egley et al., Kilpatrick et al., Kulovic et al., and Pauline et al. Have all looked at physical activity motivations in several studies. The second instrumentation that I used to investigate the barriers to being active, or to investigate the barriers to physical activity, was Barriers to Being Active Inventory, developed by the United States Department of Health and Human Services in 1999. This inventory was also used by Kulovic et al. In 2013. So the research site and the participants, the research site was a Hispanic serving institution in a metro area located in the northeastern region of the United States. This Hispanic serving institution is quite unique as well because not only does it have a student population of 14,000 undergraduate students, it also is made up, 44% of the undergraduate population is made up of students that are 25 years of age or older, which is quite high for a non-traditional age college student population. The institution is also a commuter school, which means that it's non-residential. No students live on campus. And also it's a public four-year degree awarding institution. The participants of the study, there were 140 participants that participated in the study. 86 of them were traditional age, which means 86 of them were between the ages of 18 and 24. 54 of them were non-traditional age, which means they were over the age of 25. And this ratio reflected the age ratio of this institution as well. Obviously, there are more traditional age college students, but this was quite close to the actual ratio between traditional age college students and non-traditional age college students at this institution. 25 of the participants that completed the study had children, and 115 of them did not have children. And also 21 worked 40 hours a week or more, and 119 worked less than 39 hours per week. So the EMI2 results, when we looked at motivation when it came to age, those students who were older than 25 years of age scored significantly higher on the EMI2 in the following categories: health pressures, ill health avoidance, nimbleness, positive health, revitalization, and stress management. While traditional age college students are motivated to engage in physical activity mostly because of body image and body-related reasons such as weight management, looking attractive to the opposite sex, non-traditional age college students are more focused on motivations that mitigated an existing injury or with a focus to reduce the risk of heart disease, obesity, and depression. When we looked at motivations between college students that had children versus those college students that did not have children, those students who had children scored significantly higher on the EMI2 in the following categories: ill health avoidance, positive health, and stress management. So this tells us that non-traditional college students are more focused on motivations that mitigate an existing injury, and also on their psychological health, possibly to manage their stress from balancing between their academics, between a possible another employment, and also caring for someone at home, such as a child or a parent. When we looked at employment, one interesting thing is that we did not see any significant differences among college students that work more than 40 hours per week and those who worked less than 40 hours per week. It could be because the disparity between the characteristics in our sample was quite large. But I recommend that further research is needed to investigate the barriers and motivations of physical activity in college students who work more than 40 hours per week. So when we looked at barriers being active, the results, unfortunately, COVID-19 has kind of slowed everything down for everyone. So we have not completed some of the analysis for the barriers being active, but preliminary analysis revealed that non-traditional students do experience different barriers to engagement in physical activity, and higher levels than traditional age college students. Those three main barriers were fear of injury and or illness. So maybe they don't want to participate in some kind of physical activity because they're afraid that they might get hurt or they might get sick. Some indicated that they don't participate in physical activity because of a lack of resources. So they may not have a facility or a program that promotes physical activity that's very close to them. Maybe they don't have equipment at home to work out or engage in any kind of physical activity on their own. And they also indicate a lack of skills or a lack of competency and self-efficacy and the skills that they have. So maybe somebody doesn't play baseball because they don't feel that they're very good at it, or they don't run because they don't feel that they're a very good runner, and they might look silly to some people. So what we concluded from our preliminary analysis is that non-traditional college students experience differing barriers to physical activity due to limited ability as a result of aging and or have a lack of access to facilities and programs that promote it. So we drew a number of conclusions from this study, but our main conclusions are that further research is absolutely needed to investigate the motivations, barriers of physical activity in non-traditional college students, specifically the individual characteristics that make up a non-traditional college student. What I mean by that is that Kulovic et al. 2013, one of the studies that I cited that has used the EMI2 and the barriers being active inventory, they did investigate non-traditional college students, but they did not necessarily identify how exactly they were considered a non-traditional college student. It left a question open to, were they non-traditional because they were over the age of 25? Were they non-traditional because they cared for someone at home, such as a child or a parent? Or were they non-traditional because they worked more than 40 hours per week? And they even recommend that further research needs to be conducted looking at non-traditional college students and motivations and barriers to physical activity. The second conclusion, overall conclusion, is that non-traditional college students appear to score higher on the motivational scales of health and psychological categories. So they're more focused on mitigating their health and contributing to the reduction of their risk of heart disease, diabetes, even cancer, and their psychological health. So even those that were over the age of 25 and those that had children cited higher, scored higher on categories that dealt with stress management, just because of the additional responsibilities they may have in their lives. So what we conclude is that these findings are vital to higher education administrators and fitness professionals that might be responsible for developing health promotion, mental health, physical activity, and recreational interventions to their students or their population, particularly at Hispanic serving institutions with a high number of students over the age of 25 and or those students that have children. So those are my references. That's the study that was conducted, and we certainly want to continue investigating this topic. We know that we are seeing an increase in non-traditional students attending college. Older individuals are coming back to school. some individuals may have children that want to better their lives and better the lives of their families. And so we need to understand what exactly motivates these students to participate in physical activity so that higher education institutions can coordinate and design programs specifically towards that population that clearly has differing motivations than a traditional college student would. And this is my contact information. If anyone would like to reach out to me, feel free to email me or give me a call. I regret and wish that I would have been able to see everybody and present this study in person and engage in and further dialogue about it and where I want to go with it, because one of the limitations of the study was that we did have quite a small sample, and I would love to conduct this type of a study on on even a regional level or a state level, so we can really get that sample size higher and expand our knowledge on this topic. So I thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed me presenting this research study to you. Thank you very much.